Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking on your hump day? We here at the Tom Gully Show, as always, hope you are receiving the full, total, and complete amount of hump that you so desperately crave and you so rightfully deserve. Tonight, I'm going to tell you about something horrible, absolutely horrible, called thalidomide poisoning or thalidomide bad things that created just horribly disfigured humans in the guise of pharmaceuticals. Yeah. Say, if you could like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all those free things that help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. And then also, we do have super chats. We do have memberships. You can avail yourselves of those if you'd like to. We do have a monetary goal each and every evening, which is, of course, any amount of money. And last but not least, it tells how down in the scroll at the bottom of the page, turn on those gifted memberships. Sometimes some very, very, very generous people come in here and they can gift you a membership. And that means that you can watch our members-only programming, usually on Saturday or Sunday. Last but not least, we're going to be opening up the phone lines tonight, kids. So for those of you brave enough, yeah. Yeah, good times. Good times. Hope everybody enjoyed the hitman himself last night, Russell Alexander. Always a pleasure to talk to him. Tomorrow night, we will be talking about everybody's favorite Christmas movie, next to perhaps Die Hard. And that is, of course, It's a Wonderful Life. And we will have very special guest star, the Reverend Bob Levy, on this program tomorrow night. Another It's a Wonderful Life super fan like myself. Cobra Kai! Because that's the thing now. At any rate, oh yeah, and Friday night, the return of Ed Robertson, and we will be discussing his book, Men of Action. Men of Action. It covers The Magician, Harry-O, The Untouchables, Alien Ness and his men were surrounded by the sound of Frank Nitti, and Run for Your Life, a show with, I believe, Ben Gazzara, who you'll remember from Pulp Fiction, where he played Jackie Treehorn. You might also know him from Buffalo 66. Yes, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry, for yet another spoiler. I can always count on you to just come in and do my show for me. Appreciate that. Jerry, you really don't bring a lot to the table here. Hate to say it this early in the show, but you're kind of a downer. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Mike David is with us. Pulp My Fiction, baby. It was good. Let's see here, Jerry. Yeah, I know, Jerry. I know. Believe me, I know. Everything that you're going to say, I already know. But your time here is growing short. For instance, Alec Giordano just said something. And, well, that'll be the last time. Evening, Tom. Evening, Jim Fanning. Always good to see you. My syndrome is not your concern. You know what? You're right, Jerry. Jerry, it's been great. It really has. We've enjoyed you coming in here and just hey, that's a good. We're thinking the same, Paz. Coming in, throwing out aberrant facts, ruining things, all that kind of stuff. Let me see here. Jerry, I'm sorry. You just, wrong day, wrong time, wrong person. Enjoy the rest of your internet experience. Mike David says, you remember me, Tom, or are you too big time with your professional photos now? Well, Mike, thanks for bringing it up. I don't know that you're the Mike David that I remember, but in any case, let's both you and I pretend that I remember. And thank you for mentioning the photos. That I do appreciate very much. More than you'll ever know. But thank you for stopping by. Always like to have new people You know another Mike David? Yeah, I think I know another Mike David. Do you go by another name, Mike? The Mike David I know goes by a different name most of the time, or he's known by a different name most of the time. You know, I'm just saying. That's all. I'm just saying. Yeah, I don't think that's the person I'm referring to. But that is hilarious comedy. So thank you. That is just absolutely hilarious comedy. Oh boy. I tell you what, that's just hilarious comedy. Sorry, I'm opening up my thing. I got to open up my thing so I can tell you about thalidomide, which you're really not going to like hearing about probably. And certainly you won't like seeing it. Mike David says, are you surrounded by radios back there? Are you surrounded by radios back there? What's going on? Am I surrounded by radios back there? Well, might be a green screen. It might be. There could be clues. So what's going on? Well, I'm doing a streaming show right now, Mike. That's what's going on. Virgo is here. Always good to see her. Hey, Tom. Hello, Virgo. How are you? Positive Patriot says, do you believe the thalidomide stuff or is it just conspiracy theories? No, I believe it. And after I'm done telling you about it, you also will believe it. Metal Maiden Vicky is here. Hello, Tom and everyone. Metal Maiden Vicky, of course, the queen of Metal Maiden Vicky's Metal Euphoria on Saturdays on SonicAsylumRadio.com. Highly, highly, highly recommend that program. You have to go to the website, but their chat room allows for gifts, and she doesn't just play metal. And by the way, the metal she plays will redefine your opinion of metal. And that's even if you're a metal fan. Virgo says, miss you over in the alt universe, the Galt universe. Well, it's a bunch of very fine people and then a few real douchebags. Yes, but I hope everyone's doing well over there because I want you guys to have all the things. All the things. Reverend Wild Bill says, oh boy, what can I do or say to get banned today? Reverend Wild Bill, nothing. You could never be banned here, ever. Metal Maiden Vicky is giving us the thing. I don't know what it's called. I'm sure thalidomide sounds erotic. Well, it won't shortly. I don't know what your thing is. I'm here for the horrible stuff, says Metal Maiden Vicky. Well, I have some for you. Andrew Hanley says, Tommy. Hello, Andrew. Metal Maiden Vicky says, thanks, Tom. Hey, don't thank me. You do all the work. Let's see. Virgo is laughing. All the things. All the things. You know who gets all the things? This guy right here. He gets all the things. He gets all the things. So does this guy here. And there's way more than that. There's way more than that. Terry Nee, our good friend and Mr. Hilarious, says, I take 10 milligrams of thalidomide daily. Well, you know, actually, Terry, that will be part of what I tell you about. Because thalidomide does have therapeutic real uses. And thalidomide, as it turns out, we'll get there. We'll get there. Jim Fanning has got his devil symbol. Yes, sir. All the things. Mike David says, no more headshots. I'm getting egregiously turned on. I'm sorry. Andrew Hunter says, how much you getting, Tom? It's not a very specific question. In fact, roller derby Tom Gully, roller derby girl Tom Gully would not appreciate that. The Reverend Wild Bill takes 10 milligrams of something else every day. He takes a screw it all. Only it's not, you know what I mean? Anyway, why don't we get into this? Because you're not really going to want to get into this. I'm telling you, once we get into this, you're not going to want to get into this. It's really, yeah. Thalidomide. Andrew Hanley says, new haircut. New haircut? No. What are you talking about? These pictures were taken 2 days ago. Well, no, I take that back. 4 days ago. Well, 3 days ago. It depends on how you do the math. He's getting all the things. I've got all the things. Number 2 pencil special. Again, don't know what that means. Have no idea what that means. Anyway, thalidomide. Let's talk about thalidomide for a moment, shall we? Let's just talk a little about thalidomide. Thalidomide was sold under the brand names of Countergen and Thalidomide, which you see in front of you, and it's taken orally. And right now, it is used to treat cancer, multiple myelomas. It's also used to treat graft versus host disease. That's where you have a graft of something and the host is rejecting it. It's used to treat many skin disorders, and especially complications from leprosy. Now, you don't run into a lot of leprosy anymore. As a matter of fact, I haven't heard of any leprosy since, like, Ben-Hur, the movie. Did you hear about the leper hockey game? There was a face-off in the corner. I just beat somebody to the punch there. It's also been used to treat conditions associated with the ulcers that are associated with HIV and other HIV-related, not necessarily HIV-related, but relating to the drugs one has to take in the cocktail, like diarrhea and things of that nature. Side effects of thalidomide include sleepiness, rash, dizziness. Doesn't it seem like the side effects of every single drug known to man are sleepiness, rash, and dizziness? Severe side effects include tumor lysis syndrome, blood clots, peripheral neuropathy. It's a known tetragen for humans, which is something that causes abnormalities of physical development, okay? And that's the thing we're going to talk about, because this thalidomide devastated really Europe a lot. There were cases, though, here in the United States. It causes skeletal deformities, absence of bones, malformation of the limbs. A single dose, regardless of the size of the dose, is enough to cause these tetragenic effects. It was first marketed in 1957 in West Germany. You know, many things happen in Germany. And it was available over the counter. And when it was first released, thalidomide was promoted for anxiety, trouble sleeping, tension, and morning sickness. So it was predominantly suggested for women, and not just women, women that were pregnant. Okay, now initially it was thought to be safe for pregnant women, but concerns, and you'll see why there were concerns about birth defects, caused it to be removed from the market in 1961. The total number of infants severely harmed by thalidomide by use during pregnancy was about 20,000. Now, of that 20,000, about 40% died around the time of birth, which is, if they didn't die at the time of birth, things were very bad. Now, I mentioned some of these other uses, right, that they're using it for now, but it does cause birth defects. U.S. Food and Drug Administration and other agencies, they approve the marketing of the drug, but only with, lots of warning, and it's not to be given to pregnant women. And this drug, incidentally, can be transmitted by male love stuff. I don't want to say the word. The people that serve in the Navy are called, yeah. So I don't want to see that. There's a very, very, very high risk that thalidomide also causes very excessive blood clots. There are a number of cardiovascular effects, risk of heart attack, pulmonary hypertension, changes in heart rhythm like bradycardia. It also can cause severe liver damage and the skin reactions that I mentioned earlier. Common adverse effects include confusion, depressed mood, reduced coordination, heart failure, difficulty breathing, interstitial. Do we have to get into this? Now, the good news is there's only in the whole history of thalidomide been 18 cases of overdoses reported. None of them were fatal. So there you go. I could get into the chemistry of it. You really don't want to hear about that. Let's go to some of your remarks here before I get to the really bad stuff. Let's see here. Wild Bill says, Tom hasn't had a new hairstyle in the last 6 years I've known him. That's true. Been this way for way longer than that, as a matter of fact. Terry Nee says, I'm having great fun with Tom's headshots. I bet you are. I'll bet you are. Hey, Terry, wait till I put them on the website and you can get them in high res and all that. UK horror scene. By the way, it's his fault that you guys have to look at this because he's the one that demanded that we have some. Good evening. He looks like a Ticonderoga pencil tonight. Sharp. You ever take LSD, Tom? No. Reverend Wild Bill says, I have complications with my leprosy. My skin keeps sliding off. Maybe I could use some thalidomide. You never know. Ask your doctor if thalidomide is right for you. Let's see here. Neuropathy like gabapentin. I took that. It's a bad drug. Addictive. It just masks the issue. There's a lot of stuff out there like that. Middleman Vicky says, I remember my mom talking about it. It was suggested when she was pregnant with my sister Lori. May they both rest in peace. Yes, may they both. Your sister Lori, oh boy. I've never met your mother. I've seen her hula hooping, but Lori was just a fabulous person, and she is greatly missed. And she boldly refused. Somehow she just knew it was not a good thing. On a side note, is that an Elvis Costello t-shirt you are donning this evening? Well, no. I'm sorry, Metal Main Vicky. I'm not donning it. I am rocking it. And yes, it is an Elvis Costello, one of the many Elvis Costello t-shirts that I possess. Mike David says, no! And I don't know what he's saying that about. So let's see here. UK Horror Scene. Hungus Mungus says, hi, Tom and crew. Happy birthday to Wild Bill. Tom, what did I say? I don't know what you're saying now. So you'll have to do that on investigation on yourself. People saying hi. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet. It is verified by independent sources, even though we're going to talk about something super horrible here in a second. UK Horror Scene says, I'm not to blame for the photos. Well, yes, you is kind of your thing. Let's see here. Metal. People saying hi. Let's see. Or Mike Davis says, you showed another headshot. Now I'm going to have to call my doctor in 4 hours. Okay. You know, nobody really wants to know about your, I'm just saying. Forget Elvis Costello. Look at that collar. Yeah, look at this baby. Well, I've got two collars on, actually. Two of them better than John will ever have. Anyway, back to our horrifying story. I get through the history. It was basically 1952. Thalidomide was synthesized by chemical industry basil, but was found to have no effect on animals, and they said, forget it. It's not good for anything. But in 1957, it was acquired by a company called Grunenthal in Germany, and the German company had been established originally as a soap maker. after World War II ended to address the urgent market for soap, Heinrich Muchter was appointed to head the discovery program based on his experience working with the German Army's antiviral research. And they basically discovered that thalidomide was an analog of a currently existing sedative. So for a chemical company, that's like, okay, this thing does the same thing as this other drug, but this thing is ours, so we should market it. They tested it for toxicity in several animals, but they didn't find any problems, so they introduced it in 1956, but it was never tested on pregnant women. However, even though it was never tested on pregnant women, researchers at Grunenthal found that it subdued morning sickness. And they said it was a wonder drug for insomnia and a number of other things. During that period, the use of stuff during pregnancy was not frowned upon or even controlled like it is today. It was give her a pill, she'll chill out. So while it was initially considered safe, it was responsible for a lot of physical deformities in children born after their mothers used it during their pregnancies prior to the third trimester. And it was, as I mentioned, nearly, totally responsible for a lot of the safeguards that we have for drugs now. Okay, let me get into this whole thing. Just before we start, I'm going to put up a picture here. I'm not probably going to leave this up very long because it's not fun to look at. But this is an example, and this is actually probably a somewhat benign example of what thalidomide would do to someone based upon, their mother having taken it during pregnancy. Now, hands, feet, as that resemble flippers. I'll just tell you right here, because this is the also insidious thing about this drug. The severity and the location of these deformities depended on how many days into the pregnancy the mother was before beginning treatment. And it's very, very specifically time sensitive. Okay? There is a window. Once, the woman is pregnant, the eggs have been fertilized. It's between day 20 and day 36. And it's much more specific than that. Thalidomide taken on the 20th day of pregnancy caused central brain damage. Day 21, if they started that day, would damage the eyes. Day 22 damaged the ears and face. Day 24, the arms and legs would be damaged, and that would occur up to day 28. It's not known specifically precisely how many worldwide victims of the drug there have been, but it's generally accepted that there were at least 20,000. And by the way, despite these side effects, Canada kept selling it till 1962. So there are some notable cases. Now, please keep in mind that a lot of the children that grew up with thalidomide damage, for instance, here, this is from London. And this was created for a victim of thalidomide. So this poor person probably had arms, maybe no elbows, and certainly no legs. And that was all as a result of what had happened during thalidomide. This gentleman right here is one of the notable cases of people who were victims of the thalidomide deformity. And this guy's name is Nico von Glasow. And he produced a documentary called No Bodies Perfect, based on the lives of 12 people affected by the drug. And that particular documentary was released in 2008. Lorraine Mercer, who has, been given the most excellent order of the British Empire, was born with what they call phocomelia of both arms and legs, and that's the flipper-like appendage symptom. It's an only thalidomide survivor to carry the Olympic torch. Thomas Quasthoff, an internationally acclaimed bass baritone, describes himself as 1.34 meters tall, short arms, 7 fingers, 4 right, 3 left, large, relatively well-formed head, brown eyes, distinctive lips. Profession, singer. Mercedes Benigbe, born with phocomelia of both arms, drove the successful campaign for compensation from her government to Canadians who were affected by thalidomide. Matt Fraser, born with phocomelia of both arms, is an English rock star, actor, writer, and performance artist. He produced a 2002 television documentary, Born Freak, which looked at his historical tradition and relevance to modern disabled performers. And it's become the subject of like academic studies about people with disabilities. Sue Kent, born in 1963 with phocomelia of both arms, 8 inches long, no thumbs, 7 fingers, 3 on one hand, 4 on the other, has appeared as a presenter on the BBC TV show Gardener's World since 2020, demonstrating her ability to garden using her feet and toes where others would use their hands. Christian Lohr was born in 1962 with phocomelia of both arms and both legs, and he's a Swiss politician who served for 14 years in the legislature, including 2 years as its president, and has been a member of the national legislature since 2011. So there we are. It goes under other brand names, as I mentioned, Countergen, Thalidomide, Talidex, Talizer, Neurosadin, Distaval, and many, many, many others. There are some what they call analogs of thalidomide, but those analogs are not possessed of the birth defect element that these all are. In the United Kingdom, the drug was licensed in 58, withdrawn in 61. 2,000 babies were born with those defects, and only 466 survived to at least 2010. After a long campaign by the Sunday Times, there was a compensation settlement reached for the victims, and there we go. In Spain, it was widely available throughout the 70s, perhaps even into the 80s, for 2 reasons. There were really terrible state controls and safeguarding, and it wasn't until 2008 that Spain even admitted that it had imported thalidomide. So, that's kind of rough. Australia and New Zealand, was a midwife there that was sort of the first one to make a big deal out of it, although an obstetrician was the first to have noticed it. Anyway, those people also were awarded millions in out-of-court settlements. East Germany, because at the time there was East Germany and West Germany, it was rejected in East Germany, never approved for use. So there are no known thalidomide babies born in what was a Soviet satellite at the time, East Germany. Meanwhile, West Germany, that's where it began. That's where it was marketed. So 2,500 babies were born with thalidomide birth defects there. In the United States, the FDA refused to approve, marketing of thalidomide, saying further studies were needed. And so that really severely, reduced the impact of thalidomide in people from the United States. And the refusal was largely due not to necessarily a doctor, but a pharmacologist, a woman named Frances Oldham Kelsey. And we all owe her a debt of gratitude. Now, although thalidomide was not available for sale in the United States, over 2.5 million tablets had been distributed to over 1,000 physicians during the clinical testing program. So there were about 20,000 patients, several hundred of whom were pregnant, that were given the drug to alleviate morning sickness or as a sedative, and at least 17 children in the United States were consequently born with thalidomide-associated deformities. So while she was pregnant, a children's television host named Sherry Finkbein, who basically created the show Romper Room. She created a show that became Romper Room. And, she wanted to abort because of this reason, but the laws of Arizona, where she lived, only allowed abortion if the mother's life was in danger. And so she had to go to Sweden for that. And it turns out that after that procedure, thalidomide was found to have, deformed that fetus. So, anyway, testifying in Congress, a lot of people. By the way, Frances Olin Kelsey was honored with the Distinguished Federal Civilian Service Award by President John F. Kennedy at the time. So at any rate, the aftermath is that this particular case was largely responsible for a lot of the safeguards that we now have for drugs and drug companies. Grunenthal, what happened to them? Well, a big criminal trial took place in West Germany, and they were charged with negligent homicide and injury. And after they settled with the victims in April of 1970, the trial ended with no finding of guilt. And as a part of the settlement, Grunenthal paid 100 million Deutschmarks into a special foundation. The West German government added another 320 million Deutschmarks. The foundation paid victims a one-time sum of 2,500 to 25,000 Deutschmarks, depending upon the severity of the disability, and a monthly stipend of up to 450 Deutschmarks. Those monthly stipends have since been raised substantially and are now paid entirely by the government because the foundation ran out of money. And Grunenthal paid another 50 million euros into the foundation in 2008. It wasn't until August of 2012 that Grunenthal chief executive Harold F. Stock, who was the chief executive officer, apologized about the drug and for remaining silent. That was the big thing, is they remained silent about the birth defects. So that, ladies and gentlemen, really is all I have to tell you and all I care to tell you about something very horrible that for a long time was known to be just a rotten thing that happened to a lot of innocent mothers and their children. So, at any rate, that's all I got to tell you about thalidomide. We will be opening up the phone lines quite shortly. Let's see, where was I? Tom, you ever fancy a beard? No, I had a goatee for a while. Never a beard. Let me see. I might as well get that cooking right now. People saying hi. By the way, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all those things that are free that help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-seeing algorithm. We do have super chats. We do have memberships. You can avail yourselves of those if you'd like to support the show. By the way, when I have a guest, usually I try to get people to buy the guest stuff. But if you really want me to read your chat, I don't get to read all of the chats when I have a guest. That's the way to do it, probably. I don't know. That's the way the other shows do it. People saying hi. Yeah. Melanie and Vicky had a rough August. That's it. Mike David says, are you just reading Wikipedia, Tom? Well, what's it to you? Maybe I'm not. Why don't you tell me? Mike, your usefulness here is, I grow weary. We'll just put it that way. Anyone, I was a proper caller for Tom. You got that right. Let me see here. Hungus Mungus says, I'm a schmettering, flatta, flatta, flatta. Reverend says, Tom won't sport no worn out collars. I don't know if anybody noticed last night, but when Russell Alexander, the Hitman Blues Band, was here, I put on a shirt with buttons. One of my blues shirts. Mike David says, I'm Schmitty Verbenjager Manjensen. One of those isn't a German word. Pervatine's alter ego is, yes, thalidomide. Melanie Vicky's, nope, would never happen. Tom is no ragamuffin t-shirt wearing kind of guy. Actually, I am, but I'm just not right now. And I don't always on the show. Mike says, do you know why it's spelled twice, two different ways on the box? Well, because one's the name of the actual drug and one's the name that it was marketed under. Bob's feet? I don't know. You'd have to ask Bob. Andrew Henley, have you ever caught an STD, Tom? You mean like captured one, like a private detective? Or what do you mean by caught? No. I dated a girl that had feet like that. We called her Flipper, Flipper, faster than lightning. Let's see here. Positive Patriot says, scary. Hungus Mungus says, reminds me of Contagion, deforming kids too. Yes, Hungus, that is actually one of the names it was marketed under. All drugs, even Viagra, that's the name it's marketed under. That's not the name of the actual chemical compound. Blame Canada. Name was Stumpy. Stumpy. How patriot are you? Paused. Through and through, brother. You got that right. He was an American Horror Story freak show. Oh, cool. UK Lobster Boy. Maybe Lobster Boy. I don't think Lobster Boy was one. That's about 45 million pounds. Yeah, it's hard to lift. Hungus Mungus says, our beloved pharma industry at its finest. Yes. Another one, bite the dust. I noticed the button-down shirt last night. I think it's the first time I've seen you in one. Well, I used to wear them in Utah, but that's a really personal question. It really is a personal question. You guys, it's really a personal question. Metal Maiden Vicky says, love the American Horror Story series. The Freak Show one was straight up weird and bizarre. You know, I have like 4 or 5 seasons. It's still in the wrapper that I got at a used, I think they're Blu-ray. In fact, I'm sure they're Blu-ray. And I got them for nothing. And I've watched 2. I've watched the first, I think the first 2 seasons. They're really good. They are really, really good. True, Metal Maiden Viggy. Yes. Tommy. Oh, by the way, the phone lines are open at 972-994-6822. The number is in the scroll at the bottom of the screen. That's always good to see you, RSTG. Aku says, and I'm back, baby. Yes, Aku is brought up in another chat room I moderate. That I was abusive and terrible. This guy was a body guy. Yeah. Murder House is the first one. Yeah, that's the one with Connie Britton in it. And it's super good. Super duper good. I collect discs like Pokemon. I can't remember. I've watched the first 2 seasons. Melanie Viggy's second one was The Asylum, I believe. UK Horror Scene says American Horror Story Hotel is true, crazy, and freaky. There's the one in Louisiana. They're all good. They are all good. They really are. That is a exceedingly well done series. The only bad thing about that series is when you have the Blu-ray, you know how you put the Blu-ray in, it loads, and then you get to that menu screen? Well, the pre-roll for the menu screen is so freaking creepy, especially the sound. the and backwards, and it's yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's man. It's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying, man. You see something here with my audio. Okay. Whatever. Something's going on there. I want to watch them again from the first one. Yeah, they're so good. Aku says, tell them to mind their tongues. I'm more able to defend my talking points or accept my jokes are terrible. You can't tell them that. They think they're the, you go into a chat room on a show and then now they're in charge of the show. It's Coven was fact. Is it Coven? Coven? Roanoke was the only bad one in American Horror Story. I don't know much about Roanoke, Virginia that's good. Melanie and Vicky says, I remember when it first aired in the first season I ended and I was like, well, where do we go from here? Didn't realize each season was going to be different at first. There was a show called American Crime or American Crime Story that did the same thing. They would take like a story from the news and adapt it, and they had sort of the same cast season to season. It was very, very good. Yes, loved Coven. Do you guys ever see the movie? UK Horror Story will know about this. There was a movie that was so bad called Coven or Coven, whatever, and the guy became a big deal because it was so bad, and they made a documentary of it, and it's really good. You really admire this guy and his tenacity, even if his movie was awful. Roller skater, Texas girl. Oh my God, sorry for calling you Tommy. I meant Tom. You can call me Tommy. No, it's no big deal. A lot of people call me Tommy. Tommy G. My baseball little league coach used to go, come on, Tommy G. Gun him down. Stevie Nicks did a cameo in Coven and sang Seven Wonders. Well, thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing. Yes, Tom, says UK Horse. I knew you'd know about that. Coven as in Witches Coven. Yes, of course. Yes, but of course. But of course. But of course. Yes, Witches Coven. Yes. I could walk. Those episodes are all. They're right over there. They're on the coffee table in my office. I could go get them right this minute. I could turn the mic off, make you look at one of my publicity stills, and go get them. And since no one's called in yet, that's exactly what I'm going to. I think I'll leave the good one up. I'll be back in 10 to 15 seconds. Okay. And we're back. And that guy's gone. Dan. I have 4 seasons of American Horror Story. I think we all remember, I guess I paid more for these than I thought, but still, they're less than you'd think. American Horror Story's first season, 17 nominations. 17 Emmy nominations. That's kicking ass and taking names, little brother. All right, let's see. The second season, which I haven't opened yet, is Asylum. It's the Lady Gaga one, I think, maybe. I don't know. That's season number 2. Still has the wrapper on it. And then, for some reason, the third season wasn't available. Somebody will have to tell me which one that is. I guess I did start watching season 4. I don't know why. No idea why. I guess you can watch them out of order. It doesn't really matter. And that's the Freak Show. What's the one, the Freak Show? Maybe that's the circus one. I don't know. And then, but I didn't get very far into it. I got a lot of stuff to watch. And then the last one is Hotel. There we are, Hotel. Oh, that's the 5th season. Sorry, last one that I have. So I have 4 seasons worth of that nonsense. Here we go. Here we are. Let's see. Fantastic Girl. It certainly did. Yes, it certainly did. UK said Fleetwood Mac are a fantastic band. They really are. Aku says, are we talking about terrible movie? We can. 972-994-6822 is the number to call if you'd like to actually be on the show. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow night, It's a Wonderful Life, very special guest star, the Reverend Bob Levy. Friday night, Ed Robertson returns, and we will discuss his new book, which contains not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 different TV shows. One of which is The Magician with Bill Bixby. Another one is Harry O with David Jansen. Another is The Untouchables with Robert Stack and the voice of Walter Winchell. Elliot Nelson's men surrounded the warehouse of Frank Nitti on the corner. Anyway. And then Run for Your Life with Ben Gazzara. We'll talk about all of those. You probably have not watched any of those except for maybe The Untouchables. Although The Magician is on a channel now. I forget which one. There's only one song I will listen to from Fleetwood Mac, and that's Tusk. Tusk is a good song. Aku Mugen says, Tom, put that up to hide the fact he's not wearing any pants. Well, now you've blown the secret. Tango in the Night is a fantastic album. Thank you so much, Metal Maiden Vicky, for that $2 super sticker. And by the way, we are going to have Metal Maiden Vicky in. This week was booked. We're talking maybe next week, maybe after turn of year. We'll get her on here. And even if we don't do video, we'll get audio on her and have her as a guest. People used to call me Pee-wee when I was little. And by the way, Lady Gaga is in the Hotel one. Do I have that one? Why can't I remember the one that I have? Oh, yeah, I do have Hotel. And there we go. Yeah, there she is. Wow, she won a Golden Globe for that. Oh, let's see here. Metal Maiden Vicky, thank you again for the $3 super sticker. And also, really looking forward to Metal Maiden Vicky being on the show. So all you metalheads, there we go. Let's see here. Whoa, Lady Gaga. First shows up in the Hotel one, I think. I think you're right. And by the way, Reverend Wild Bill and UK Horror Story, between them, you're not going to fool them on any horror stuff ever. UK Horror Scene says 3rd season was Coven. I'm going to just say Coven. There's an actor in that documentary about the bad movie that corrects the guy. And now, I used to know it and think the way he was pronouncing it was weird. And now I don't know which one it is, because the actor was this older guy that was actually a very good actor. And he was like, don't you mean Coven? No, it's Coven. Hey, Tom, you and the Rev Bob both predicted Ravens-Lions Super Bowl. Confident? I don't recall predicting that. I think Bob did. I am going with the Lions in the NFC. The AFC, it just depends on Mahomes being healthy. If he's healthy, they're probably going again. I don't know. Ravens are not a bad selection, though. UK Horror Scene says the Metal Maiden Vicky. Yes, she does. Lungus Mungus says horror audio books help me sleep. There's plenty of them out there. There's a lot of them on YouTube that are very good. Akumugan says, I do play a lot of horror PC games. Not only is it infinitely more intimate storytelling, you quickly understand how snap decisions can be your undoing. Yes. By the way, I got to get Percival. I've been getting little notes or signals or clues that Percival may have eluded the authorities overseas and be back in the States. He does that sometimes around the holidays. I think just so the rest of the family will avoid him. so he feels like it's Christmas. But we may try and get Percival back on the program. Metal Main Vicky says Lady Gaga is also in Roanoke too, right? I don't know. I don't know anything about Roanoke. I try not to. There was a person that got in some trouble for some online things. He was and offline. Well, mostly for the offline things. That was from Roanoke. Yep. Try the Forest Great horror game. All right. If I ever start playing video games, I will look into that. The Reverend Wild Bill says, Melanie and Vicky, she is only in hotel. I say coven the way you are saying it. I think everybody does, but that one guy. Reverend Wild Bill says in hotel, only one of the regulars, Jessica Lange, was not in because she would not be on the screen with Lady Gaga. I'm going to tell you something, I'd be on screen with Jessica Lange any old time. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? 972-994-6822. Let me see here. I think there's a way for me to... Whoops-a-daisy. There's a way for me... There we go. This is what we want. Right there. Right. That's what we're looking at. You see how I produce the show? On the fly. That's what I do. That's what I do. We got about 10 minutes left. UK Horror Scene says, Tom, you need to watch a British horror TV show from the late 2000s called Dead Set. Or Dead Set. Let me see here. I'm putting it on my list. There we are. It's on the list now. Cobra Kai. Because that's a thing now. Metal Vicky says, I didn't know that, Wild Bill. Hello, Fo the Wolf is here. There you go. Divas. Okay, here we go. Hi, and welcome to the Tom Gully Show. You are on the air.
Just so you won't feel like you wasted your money on your telephone thing.
I never feel that way. I never feel like I've wasted my money on it.
All right, then why did I call for it then?
I don't have any idea. I do know.
I ain't got sliced idea either.
Hey, you know, who was saying what? Based on Big Brother, Dead Set, the show in England. There is a TV series. It was only on one season. And it was a reality show that had a plot. It was almost like one of those murder trains or something, but it was kind of like a Survivor. People got to vote, and it was called Murder in Small Town X. You guys look it up online on Wiki or something. It was super interesting, and one of the most interesting things about it was at the end of every show, there'd be two people that were sent out by themselves into this basically abandoned small town, and one of them would be murdered by the murderer that was in town. And they kept sending this same lady out over and over again, and she kept surviving. And she didn't win it, but it was interesting for that reason. Anyway, what's up, Wild Bill, man? Do you like the American Horror Story series?
I've got them all.
Oh, cool.
And like I said, but the only one that I really didn't care for was Roanoke. And a lot of other people I've talked to that love horror and stuff like that, American Horror Story, same thing. If they left Roanoke out, it'd have been great.
Well, you remember the TLB, the Tate LaBianca guy?
Okay,
Yeah, he was from Roanoke.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Got himself in some trouble. Brofister loves Tusk as well as you and I, Wild Bill. UK Horror Scene remembers that. Bill, here's one. Hungus Mungus says Bill needs to make audiobooks. Great voice. I think Bill needs to be in movies as the sheriff of a town where they don't take any crap.
let's see, what's that one that has the midgets in it? That's the one I'm thinking of.
Oh,
That comes in on the Shetland ponies.
Terror Comes to Tiny Town.
Tiny Town, that's it. I need to be the sheriff of that one.
Yeah.
Terror Comes to Tiny Town. I can see that now.
I can just see you saying, "Y'all must not have seen the sign about leaving your shooting irons at the sheriff's office."
That's it. But I mean, I've even been told I should have been on radio too.
Yeah.
But I think that was more of how I looked. Because you know how they always go, "You got a face for radio."
Yeah. Who are you talking to?
Well, you were on radio. What can I say?
Yeah. Look at that. Right there. That's the face for radio. And this is with, like, you know, the proper lighting and all that stuff.
Scary.
Look, I keep saying it, and I keep saying it, and keep saying it.
I like that one.
You need to have your own show.
I'm thinking about it. I just can't do that. I'm just not on the. I just can't do the producing stuff and all that. And I mean, it would have to be like the old ones where I just come on and do my thing and hope for the best. And you know, they've gotten so better now with people getting producers coming in there that run the background while you do the stuff. You know, what can I say? And there again, I also liked your idea the other day. You know, where if I could find a show that I could be a co-host in, that would even be good.
Well,
and that would kind of leave me out of having to do the techie stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's because that's where I get. I mean, you know, I'm old school stuff. I mean, you know, I'm back where the your hard drive or your not your hard drive. Well, what people would call hard drives now was actually a big tape head with about 6 big tape discs on it.
Right.
That was the hard drive, you know, and stuff like that. I mean, and you know, I was checking something the other. I want to ask you a little question I was asked, and I wound up getting it right by a guess. But what was the size of the first floppy disk? Was it 8 inches, 5.5, or 3 3/4, or whatever it is, 3 inches?
8.
The first one was 8 inches.
Yeah, I used them.
The first floppy disk.
Those were the ones where you had to lock them in after you put them in. They were really flimsy. They, you know, like you could, you know, they were like a.
Well, you lay them down, you lay them in there, and then you lock them down. It's just like what you kind of like how you did with the big reel-to-reel tapes. You had to lay them in there, and you had to lock them down. You had to put the lock on top of them, you know, to lock them down.
I used them in high school. That's how, you know,
you had them in high school. See, we did. You know what our computer was in high school? I think it was called an abacus.
Yeah. Well,
but there again, too. You know, hey, when I was in high school, you know, helped me and Methuselah sat next to each other. You know,
this was not a. This was like it didn't work on like this. It worked on a word processor. So it didn't communicate with anything. It was just a storage device, and it wasn't really a computer.
Oh, okay. It was like one of your first word processors.
Yeah.
Okay, now, I got you. I know what you're talking about now.
Now, we did have a computer, but it was all in BASIC. It was the size of a phone booth, and it was only in one room, and you really couldn't. Well, if you knew what you were doing, you could talk to
I tell you what, people now, these youngins these days, if they knew what we had to go through with computers, like they talk about how they fuss about Windows and, I don't like Windows this and Windows. Man, if they had to operate on the stuff we operated on, I mean, my first system was DOS, Dr. DOS. That's what my operating system was.
Yeah.
DOS.
Yeah, that's what we were using was DOS for the system commands, and then you could go into BASIC and write a program. But
and it's just, I mean, but it ain't like you just flip it on and there it is. You know, that wasn't it.
Yeah. So
you know, every little thing you did, you had to address it and command that particular thing, and you had to be happy with a black screen with white letters or.
Well, we had
orange letters, or
we had green. We had green letters, and if you didn't do it exactly right, it would say invalid response.
Right.
Metal Maiden Vicky says and this is for you because I won't know this one. Is Roanoke the one that turned into a current day reality show all of a sudden?
I don't know.
Oh,
yeah. That was it. Yeah. The people went to Roanoke Island, and basically it was like a, I'm not going to say documentary, but like a reality type thing. And then the stuff started happening to them that supposedly happened at Roanoke.
yes. Well,
Yes, that was the one. That was it. It was Roanoke.
and
right.
they have subsequently figured out that all the people at Roanoke, that town, there was like a blight or a famine, and those people all just moved to the towns around there. That basically,
they found the one skeleton.
Yeah.
When they came back after they came back, they came there, dropped everybody off, then left, then came back, took some people back over, then came back again. And on that third trip over, counting the first one being number one, and then number two, and third one was where there was nobody anymore, and they found the one body and one skeleton, and then on the tree they saw the carving inscription of what that was.
It said Croatone.
You know what that was, don't you? That was just south of them. That was the Native American village.
Yeah.
That was their village, and supposedly the survivors went there.
Right.
Supposedly, but there was also rumors too that the two did not get along either. So nobody really knows. I mean, it's still kind of a question of really what happened to the people of Roanoke. But I think what it was is they just got hungry enough and everything, said, "Screw this! We're going to go see if we can find something to eat.
Yeah.
Where's the McDonald's at?" And they took off and left. I think that's what happened. They just left to try to find greener pastures, something where they could survive instead of sit there and freeze to death and not have no food,
That's why there's ghost towns and stuff. It's just they can't make a go of it, and they just say forget it. UK Horror Scene says his was MS-DOS, and the Wolf says, well, back in the days, it was just considered good manners to have a floppy disk ready for the guest of the house and a massage. Aku says, hey, Wolf, what do you get when you combine CE, ME, and NT? Windows Cement, an OS you can trust as far as you can throw it.
Okay. I'll be honest, I still like the old, what's the platform? Oh, God.
Zip drives?
No. Windows 96.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm saying the one the Windows system that I liked the best was probably Windows 96.
I was a computer operator on an IBM 4331 mainframe and had to use JCL, APL1, COBOL, a bunch of stuff. And I couldn't tell you. I've been Mac since '89. I use the Windows computers, but I do it under protest.
Well, I actually started school to become a computer technologist.
What happened?
Not a computer analyst.
What happened?
And I had somebody scare me about it, saying, because I was heading into Cobalt. And, oh, man, Cobalt, that's hard. That's the worst thing there is. That's hardest to learn, blah, 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 blah. Man, you're going to have a hard time. And I dropped out.
And Cobalt's
easy. And I
easy.
didn't go no further. And I found out later on Cobalt's one of the easiest.
Yeah.
Because all it is ones and zeros. Basically. So
yeah,
it's like, wow, maybe I stopped when I shouldn't have. But anyway, maybe it's good because had I kept going, I wouldn't have done the things that I'm doing now. I wouldn't have had the barbershop. There's a lot of things that wouldn't have happened had I continued. So I'm happy what I did.
Computer-oriented business something language. It's only for business. So all the commands are like business accounting data type of commands. Okay. It's really easy. Aku says that joke as old as I am and just as terrible. Well, I'm glad that you brought it here. That's exclusive content you won't find anywhere else. UK Horrorstein says, I have qualifications in computer repairs and technology. See, that's always good.
I do too. It's called a BFH.
A big blanking
hammer. when it don't work, there's always that trusty stick of dynamite in the bottom drawer.
The Wolf says, I learned basic at Ball State. I learned it at good old Carmel High School.
Ball State, that sounds like a prison. Ball State.
Well,
I know what it is, but still, it still sounds like a prison.
everybody thinks it's like made up, like Tommy Hilfiger or somebody made it up to sound sportsy. But no, it's a real place. And,
Yeah, it is a real place, yeah. Matter of fact, I was just counting the other day. You know, I've got 8 original Ball glasses.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
In the green.
Well, yes, the green was the
With,
one.
go ahead.
Well, no, the green was, they got a bunch of sand from somewhere that had a lot of something in it. The Wolf will probably know.
Well, I know copper. I know copper's green.
There was blue ones,
Could have
too. I forget
Well,
which.
see, I was going to say now I've got some that is green and kind of goes to blue even.
Yeah, those.
Kind of a blue shade.
They got a ton of
and the
sand.
lids on them.
from-
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, they just have a ton. They got a ton of sand from up off of the Great Lakes, and that's why all those were that way.
And they've also got the solid lids too. You know, they're not like the mason jars where you got the ring and then you got the inner piece.
Yeah,
These are all the steel lids.
Yeah.
Solid. Yeah, the ball. And I've also got some of the old masons too.
Well,
but the ball.
we don't talk about those.
Well, I know we don't talk about the mason ones, but the ball. Yeah, I've got quite a few of them. I got quite a few of them.
The Wolf used to have a mug that would hold 6 beers.
Ponies or big ones?
Big ones.
Little King Elf?
No. Oh, God. Watching the Wolf with a Little King's Cream Ale was just a joke. It was not
And
even.
one gulp and it's gone. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. He'd hold it with 2 fingers and just go blorp, 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 gone.
Well,
You know?
I bet you I know one, though. He could kill quicker, though, than Little King's Ale, and that's because of the way they were made. They're about the same size, but they're called the Mickey's Big Mouth.
Oh, yeah, Mickey's Malt Liquor, sure.
Yeah, Mickey's Big Mouth, where the opening was about as big as what the bottle was
Yeah. Yep.
itself.
Hams.
And they were about the same size as the Little King Cream Ales. Mm-hmm. And that one right there, I bet you Wolf could probably down that one and gone. You know,
Hams.
More likely.
Hams had a whole ad campaign. Big Mouth the beer, Big Mouth the beer is here. And they had a giant, and these were the pull tabs. So you would pull it, and it was like a triangle that went over this giant round.
Oh yeah, that was those big cans too.
Yeah, it would just pour, Anyway,
About the only person that had a bigger can than Hams was Foster's Lager, where they had the oil cans.
yeah.
And you know what's so funny about Foster's Lager? They say Australian beer. And you talk to an Australian person, they say, we'd never drink Foster's.
Yeah, it's like the
Foster's is a made-up Australian beer to be sold to the U.S.
Yeah, well, the Wolf says the mug was 80 ounces. I drank 72 Little Kings one night.
Wow.
The Wolf also used to say, because people in college would buy really bad beer. They, just as cheap as
Well,
you
they got
could
to
get
get the
it.
cheap stuff. They ain't got
Yeah.
no money.
Yeah, and the Wolf wasn't that way. He always drank Grolsch. And I mean,
That was my beer. Was Grolsch. Grolsch beer was mine.
Grolsch
When
would be like just the cap on Grolsch probably cost more than a whole 6-pack of Wiedemann's. And he used to, I'd say, Wolf, did you go to that party last night? And he'd go, oh yeah, Wiedemann's, red, white, and blue, Falstaff, warm,
Little King,
warm.
Mickey's Big Mouth.
They didn't even chill it. So good, you just couldn't drink it. So delicious, you just couldn't drink it. UK Horror Story says it's more popular in the UK. Is Foster's. And Metal Maiden Vicky says, I used to love Foster's and would only drink it in the big oil can size with a straw. Now I'm not crazy about Foster's. I just remember...
That's the only thing I thought Foster's came in was the big oil can.
Well, I just remember Foster's would get you messed up. It was...
Oh, well, see, what we used to do, because I used to be a member of the 41st Confederate Infantry, Kennesaw Volunteers. We were a reenactment group.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought you meant you were just in the actual.
Well, no, I was an actual member of the First Tennessee
During the war.
Yeah, during the war. I was a member of the First Tennessee Cavalry.
Yeah.
In the war.
Gotcha.
But then when I later on I became a break off on up in the upper years back in the early 80s, I was a member of the 41st Confederate Infantry, Kennesaw Volunteers, and we would have things going on up in Big Shanty, which you were in Atlanta, so
yeah.
I don't know if you know what Big Shanty is, better known as Kennesaw.
Oh, yeah.
Kennesaw, Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
But we would have reenactments up there. And me and a buddy, we would always team up together. And what was so good about it, since we were the Kennesaw Volunteers, we had the train station. We got to sleep in it.
Oh, cool.
But what we would do is me and Buck, we had ourselves, this for me and him, a case of Fosters for each night we were there. And we didn't chill them. We just kept them room temperature.
Yeah.
And because at room temperature, they will get in your blood system a lot quicker than if they're chilled.
Well, Metal Mean Vicky says college beer, Meisterbrow, Milwaukee's best, old Milwaukee too, Tuborg, Tall Boys, Hams. Yeah, there was all those.
There's a lot of them in there that's college beers. Yeah, like I said, there again, Mickey's and Little Kings were also part of them because those were cheap ones.
Oh yeah.
And those were people like those because they were not beers; they were ales.
Cream ale.
They thought Little Kings was a cream ale. Mickey's Big Mouth was just an ale, wasn't it?
It was a
or
malt.
Was it a cream ale also?
No, it was a malt liquor. Mickey's malt liquor.
Oh, Mickey's was a malt liquor, right. But
No.
see, Mickey's and the other, they weren't your normal, everyday run of the day mill beers. These were fancy ones.
Yes.
You know, the only thing I liked about them is that you could drink them before they got hot if you wanted them cold.
Well, that's
and
why
that was the nice thing about the pony beers.
That's why Little Kings was in the small bottle, is so that you could drink it while it was cold. Because if it wasn't cold, it's terrible.
It was horrible. It had a bite to it. Oh yeah, bite of it, the taste of it, kicked like an Alabama jackass.
Well, Metal Maiden Vicky says you can get Foster's in bottles too. She says at least around here. She says we really did drink terrible beer in high school and college. And the other thing about it, Metal Maiden Vicky had an association, I think, in college with one of the fraternities. And so she knows her beer. Oh, yes, the Wolf Blatz. Blatz just
beer.
Sounds like someone belching after drinking a terrible beer. My grandparents and uncles used to drink Blatz. But see, all of the beers that we're talking about, when beers were still regional, were good beers. But they just got bought up by the bigger breweries and put out as terrible beers. Well, the Wolf says the really good one is brand beer from Holland. Metal Main Vicky says, one of the things I had to do when I pledged the brothers and sisters of the Pi Alpha Nu fraternity, SUNY New Paltz, New York, had to learn the Budweiser label and still know it, as well as the Greek alphabet. We used to make people remember the Rolling Rock saying on the back, and then the cryptic 33 straight to you, which some people think it's the number of words and the thing that you remember. I don't think I've ever heard a definitive on what 33 straight to you means on Rolling Rock.
Well, knowing I'm here in Georgia and everything, how we like our beers and stuff. Right. My favorite one, call me old-fashioned, PBR.
Yeah, that became kind of a popular dive bar hipster drink.
And it was a cheap one, too. That was another one. That was one of your better, cheaper beers was PBR.
That and the original Miller beer, the champagne of beers, before light beer came out, in the champagne bottle, that bottle with the tapered neck on it, that was clear because they said, hey, we want you to see the quality of this beer. So that was a clear bottle.
And later on, I graduated myself from PBR to MGD.
Yeah, MGD. I worked on that beer.
MGD was a good beer.
Yeah.
That was a good one. It came in a clear bottle also. Matter of fact, came in basically the same bottle as as the other one.
And it came in a black can. If you got it in a can, it was that distinctive black can.
Right, black can with the gold letters. A matter of fact, in NASCAR, Rusty Wallace's car was the color of he sponsored the MGD sponsored his car, and it was done in black with gold numbers and gold letters. Because he was a genuine draft.
He had been light for a long time, and then they switched him to MGD. UK Horror Scene said, I have to use the phonetic alphabet for my job. Metalman Vicky says, love Michelob and Michelob Light. Michelob Ultra is pure crap. The other thing is, Lowenbrau used to be an upscale beer. It is no longer an upscale beer because it was positioned as, here's the good times, tonight is kind of special. And there were all these commercials about rewarding yourself. You know, if two guys jogging, if we go 10 miles, I'll buy you a beer. We go 10 miles, I'll buy you a Lowenbrau. Ooh, look out. And now it's just terrible. And a lot of these lesser beers are owned by Falstaff. And they brew a lot of the ones. The Wolf says, a light and lightly libation of pleasure.
You know what stopped me from drinking beer completely?
What?
Was the one you just said a few minutes ago. It was dark though. When Michelob instead of Michelob Light, Michelob Dark.
Yeah,
that Michelob Dark beer. Oh my gosh! Me and a buddy, we were up and took us a little trip up where I used to live in Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
Up on Mount Harrison. We got some of that. I don't know whether it was because by the time we got into Gatlinburg, I mean, you know, we were lucky that they hadn't rolled up the sidewalks yet because this was coming on wintertime after all the big tourists have gone and everything. So basically they were getting ready to roll up the sidewalks. And anyways, we got up there, we was at the hotel, and we drank that Michelob Dark. I spent the rest of the night sitting on the toilet, even into the bathtub.
Yeah.
And I swore, if you ever let me get off this, I will never touch beer again. And I've never drank beer again since then. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the last time I drank beer, and I would never. I don't know, because before that, dark beer didn't bother me because I love drinking dark Bock beer. Because I worked for that company called Pelusius, which was a German company, and that's pretty much all they wanted to drink.
Gotcha.
Was that German Bock beer. They wanted dark. And like when we go, because I was telling you, we was talking about me and you when we have our little private conversation, talk about soccer, about football and stuff.
Yeah.
And, I told you I played with, I played with them, if you want to call it, on that city league, and I was a bench warmer, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
But I would be the one responsible for getting the company van, picking up a keg of German Bock beer, putting it in the van, and not ice now, just having it in the van.
Yeah.
Until the next, you pick it up and then have it the next day, because that was the one thing I had to learn when I went overseas, over to Europe to study and stuff. And because I had to go over there and study with Pelusius, study with some of their people over there for drafting and stuff.
Yeah.
And that beers drink basically at room temperature.
Yeah.
And that really because they'll tell you over there, they'll tell you real quick, the only reason why you get American beer ice cold
is because
if you let it get hot or room temperature, it tastes like hell.
Yeah.
It's the worst tasting thing you can ever get, that cold gets rid of that bite, that bitter taste.
Right.
But my dad, what he used to do in order to get rid of that bitter taste, first thing he'd do is put a pinch of salt in it.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. Yeah.
And that pinch of salt would get rid of that bitter taste. But European beer and stuff like that, you don't have to do that because it don't have that taste. You drink it at room temperature, it's good. And that's how come I like one reason why I like Grosche beer. Because Grosche could get a little warm, room temperature, and it was still good. Matter of fact, like I used to tell people, it's like, you let it get room temperature, it'll hit you a lot harder than than if it was iced over. It gets in your blood system better. But and I'm seeing somebody here putting in Guinness. I know a lot of people like Guinness.
Yeah. Well,
Guinness was okay. But anyway, I just want to jump on real quick so you didn't feel like you wasted any money on your phone call stuff, and I'll let you go, Tom.
All right.
It was nice for you to be able to talk to me today, and hopefully I can grace your presence again sometime.
Anytime.
And on that note, I will say adios, Wiener Schnitzel, and goodbye.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks for calling in. The great Reverend Wild Bill. He's the best. All right. Let's see here. Wolf says, by the way, phone lines are open, 972-994-6822. St. Pauli girl in Beck's. Yes, I do recall the Wolf would drink some of those. And maybe a Red Stripe. I don't remember a Red Stripe or not. I did in college. I haven't really drank to speak of since college, which is weird. We're talking about so much beer. Metalman Vicky says, I don't remember Michelob Dark. You're not missing anything. Because I used to drink, and Wolf may remember this, the beer that I would get was the Heineken Dark. Metalman Vicky's, maybe because I'm not generally a fan of darker beer like Guinness. Blech. Now, see here, let me defend Guinness. The only way to drink Guinness is out of a tap that has been properly maintained. If it's not, don't even bother with it. But if you get Guinness properly maintained, served with the right temperature, it is glorious. The Wolf says, try stout from McAuslin in Quebec. Metal. Delicious, or at least my clone is. Metalman Vicky says, is McAuslin less goopy-like? Love Stella. Stella Artois. I can't pronounce the second part. It's what stout is supposed to be. Hated those oat beers. Pearl beer. Pearl from down here in Texas. Shiner. Get yourself a Shiner sometime. You know, it's pretty good. From Shiner, Texas. Get yourself a Shiner. Got to get a Shiner. 972-994-6822. Tomorrow night, of course, It's a Wonderful Life. We'll be talking about it with the legend, the one, the only, the often imitated, never duplicated Reverend Bob Levy. And then, of course, Friday night, Ed Robertson will return to talk about his new book, Men of Action. Harp is good. Metal. Tap beer at 42 degrees. Wolf should know. Well, Wolf knows everything. Wolf makes his own beer. Wolf makes this insane beer that's like 60 proof, and you can't taste the alcohol. I don't know how he does it. I don't know what he does. He'll probably tell us, and I still won't know. But he does. You knock your in the thing. Mm-hmm. 8 more minutes. And then we're out of here. We're out of here. Both this guy and this guy will be out of here. Both of them. I'm unveiling a new one. I've been unveiling them one day at a time on social media. One day at a time. Bet you'd like to see another one, wouldn't you? I know you would. Let me see here. Here's the one. Here's the one that's going to get me in a lot of trouble. This one right here. That one's going to get me in trouble. People are going to have a lot of fun with that. It will roll your socks down and back up again. Yeah, like a Three Stooges episode or something. Look at that guy there. He's just a kook, isn't he? He's a kooky fella. It's Belgian candy sugar, high gravity with no alcohol taste. Boy, Metalman Vicky says, I've never had Harp. Harp is good. Harp is good. And I also used to like Red Stripe. Someone told me recently that Red Stripe has gone down in quality. But one of the things I liked about Red Stripe is they just stenciled the logo on it and stuff. There's no label, at least when I drank it. But all of those double and, the Belgian monk beers, they're hoppy, but they're really good. Reverend Bill says, I hate Coors. It's not pasteurized. It's cold filtered. They feel that the pasteurization process, which does involve heating of a liquid, ruins the taste. And I think when I was a kid, you couldn't get Coors everywhere. So if somebody went the Grand Canyon, they came back, they'd bring some Coors, and everybody would go, oh boy, Coors, the banquet beer. And I think they just liked it because it was, exotic. They couldn't normally get it. Coors has no taste. Yeah, I remember we had a family reunion one time, and all they had was Coors. And I was working for Miller Brewing Company at the time, or their promotions agency, and they were offering me beers, and I didn't drink anyway. But I just went, I'm not drinking that unpasteurized nonsense. That ain't happening. Let's get that off the screen. There's no need for that. There's no need for that. Reverend Wild Bill says, for a long time it was not sold east of the Mississippi. Yeah, it was the whole plot to Smokey and the Bandit. If Jerry was here, he would tell us. Cold filtering filters all the flavor out. It does something. They think it's the greatest ever. I don't think it's the greatest ever. I don't think it's the greatest ever, but I drink beer, so what do I know? What do I know? Most of my friends that drink beer will drink a certain kind for a number of years, and then they'll suddenly switch. Remember Keystone beer and Keystone Light? Do they even have that anymore? But he was on that for a long time, and I think it's Bud Light now. Before it was something else. It might have been Coors Light or who knows. I don't know. I don't pay any attention. I don't drink it. Let's see. I do like my cold pressed CBD oil. I like my gold pressed Latinum. Wolf says, are you saying I can go back to listening to Tool with Danny Carey? I listen to anything you want to. No heat added. Well, I got to mention the Wolf is one that turned me on to Billy Cobham on his incredible stereo. Nothing in his room but the stereo. Just the bed, the stupid twin bed that they gave us, and a sheet, a blanket, then his clothes. Well, probably some school book. Well, not even books. The Wolf would go to the library and check out the textbook. But he did have the stereo. He did have the stereo. As he roomed with Brad, the legendary Brad. It's a shame we have to grow older. Not for the reasons you're thinking. But it's like, don't you remember we were buds? Are you talking Wolf's tiny stereo system? Well, no, it's not the one he has now, which is gigantic. He had a really nice one. So is the fact that beer is made by boiling, not effective. Yeah. If you say, I don't know what they do. There's all these people that have their own microbrews, and they have a bucket, and they do this to it and that to it and everything else. Now, my grandfather used to make what they called potato beer, and apparently one time he didn't do it right, and all the bottles started exploding. But they had a horse trough, like in this back utility room, and most of the time when he made it, it didn't have any problems. But this horse trough had some sort of cooling device that all this beer was under water, about an inch of water. So it filled up and then an inch over the top. And these dudes would walk back there and come out with this drippy beer. Reverend says, I'll stick with shine. Give me some of that shine. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close the phone lines down. I'm going to open these phone lines every freaking night. And I do appreciate the 4 guys that call in here. Believe me, I do. But we got to get a lot of other people. It's amazing to me that all the trolls that enjoy prescribing my behavior in all these shows I guest on and whatnot, that they don't feel brave enough to use the phone. You mean liquor? Good old corn mash liquor? We've got a lot of great topics coming up. I'm getting ready to start preparing next week, and also wondering what in the name of Sam Hill am I going to do for the weekend this weekend. Probably should figure that out sometime tomorrow. Terry Garr, Section 230, Dan Raver, Fairness Doctrine, Stockholm Syndrome, Joy Buzzer, Wonder Bra, Texas Roadhouse, Nick Rowe, Gertrude Stein, Elephants, the Burqa or Hijab, Rowdy Roddy Piper. You know what? I just decided Monday is going to be Rowdy Roddy Piper. 3D movies, that's another great one. In fact, Tuesday, and this is, if I get guests, it may change. 3D movies was suggested by Metal Maiden Vicky, and I do want to do that one. Ooh, we've just done Thalidomide, and I'm glad too, because that gives me nightmares. What else we got here? Stan Rogers, It's a Wonderful Life. That'll be tomorrow with the Reverend Bob Levy. Fred Hampton, Brian's Song, the movie. COINTELPRO, Cracker Jack, Anarchist Cookbook. I wanted to do Anarchist Cookbook a lot sooner, but I did the Weather Underground, and I don't want those really close together because NSA. Reagan Assassination, Richard Dick, Prenicky, Japanese Internment, String Bean, Barbie Benton, H.R. Puffin Stuff, Mike Rowe, Herpes, and of course, Herpes. Let me see, Liquors Quicker. You could play with the Bush Baby. I don't know that I want to do it. What is this NSA you speak of? Well, you could have just said hi to him when you were on the phone with me. Anyway, I think probably that's all we got for this evening. Man, I appreciate all you guys being here. I especially appreciate Metal Maiden Vicky, who was kind enough to donate $5 for the evening. So, hey, you know, I made a quite a living grifting, as I've been accused of. Because, you know, I grift so hard on this show. I know a Puffin Stuff real well. He's your friend when things get rough, you know. At any rate, with all that being said, I'm looking and I see that the old clock on the wall says that, like the Reverend Al Green, it's time for me to get on up out of here. You do not have to go home, but you can't stay here. Sorry. And with all that being said, I think the only thing left to say is, by the way, you guys are the greatest. I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate you being here. And I also can't begin to tell you your support means the world. And I thank you. Till next time, we'll see you next time.